Today we're going to do a brief overview of the attack at Pearl Harbor that took place December 7th, 1941. The other station in class will go into some more detail. This is more just an overview of some of the events, what led to it, and how the United States responded afterwards. Right. The history associated with Pearl Harbor, its location in the center of the Pacific was ideal for the United States during the 19th century. Trade ships trading back and forth with Asia could use it as a refueling station. Naval ships to protect the sea trading routes could also use it for refueling. And then it eventually, turns into the base for the entire Pacific Ocean Naval Fleet. The location in the center of the Pacific Ocean is going to give it easy access throughout the Pacific. It's also going to provide the United States with a line of defense in the event that a country ever decides to attack us or invade us. The fleet can get out and protect the United States. Right. Early world years, the World War II took place from 1939 to 1945. The United States was involved from 1941 to 1945. So for the first 2 years of the war, the United States was able to remain neutral and not have to get involved officially. Right. But Japan's perspective, Japan fought on the Axis side along with Germany and Italy. Japan had visions of becoming a Pacific empire, and in order to do that, they needed access to several raw materials such as coal and oil, which were only available to them if they in fact expanded throughout the Pacific Ocean. Japan realized that if they continued to expand throughout the Pacific, eventually they would run into the United States. The United States would have to try and stop them. So they knew if it was a long, drawn-out affair, they would be defeated. So their only hope was a surprise attack that would hopefully catch the United States by surprise and cripple the Pacific Fleet, thereby allowing Japan to continue to expand. Now, if you're looking at this map of Japanese expansion, up until this point, Japan itself is an island, meaning, and not a big island for that matter, and it doesn't have a lot of access to a lot of the resources that it is going to need. So it starts to expand throughout China, expand through the Pacific Islands here, and then you can see next on the block was Pearl Harbor that they needed to take out the United States beforehand. The attack itself took place early in the morning on December 7th. Nobody in Pearl Harbor had any notification of a surprise attack. In fact, in the weeks leading up to it, the United States was actually engaged in peace talks with Japan, like I said, in the weeks leading up to it. They awoke to the sounds of explosions, Japanese fighter planes and bombers flying all over the place. In fact, there were some submarines that got into the harbor to prevent any ships from escaping. Right? And over 2,400 Americans are going to be killed in the attack, and that includes non-military personnel, civilians who were living in Hawaii at the time as well. Okay, so here's another picture of one of the battleships taking on water and being sunk. Right after the attack, FDR, President Roosevelt, is going to speak to the nation, and that's where one of his famous speeches, December 7th, 1941, a date that will live in infamy. He addressed the country, and he also asked Congress for a declaration of war, meaning that the United States was now officially in World War II fighting against Japan. It actually drew, if you can find any positives out of it, it actually united the country, and people were now, beforehand, they were divided on whether to get involved in World War II. After Pearl Harbor's attacked, everybody, almost everybody in the country wants to go to war. Today, Pearl Harbor, the memorial, there's a visitor center, and then there's the USS Arizona Memorial that's located out over top of the USS Arizona itself. It comes to commemorate the people whose lives were lost or impacted with the attack on Pearl Harbor. And the year is 1960. People obviously still remembered Pearl Harbor before then. That's just when the actual memorial is constructed. The white building here, that's the USS Arizona Memorial. It's built out on the water, out in the middle of the harbor. And it's actually going to be over top of the USS Arizona. And here's a picture again. You have to take a ferry to get out there, but you can see the battleship is underwater. The USS Arizona was one of the major battleships that sunk almost immediately after the attack began, and the soldiers were actually trapped inside